Welcome to another Friday website review, and today we're going to look at some ways you can improve your marketing pages and sales pages. I'm Shane from Thrive Themes, and I'll be walking you through today's website review. So today's site that we're looking at is ultimatebusinesspropeller.com/workshops. This is the page, the specific landing page that I was asked to review. And here's a quick look at the page, a quick first glance at this page. And let's get started. Well, let's get started from the top as usual. The first issue, I think there are actually quite a few issues right here in the header. Some of them technical and some of them are content issues. What's better than a headline? And a headline, by the way, is very good. It's great to have a big, fat, unignorable headline at the top of your page. But what's better than having a headline? Is it having 3 headlines? Probably not, but that's what we basically have on this page, right? We have this big header here, which is an image header. So this isn't actual text. This is just an image header. And it says the brain, branding, and your power of authority. Then we have what's actually a testimonial, but it basically acts like a headline here. If you want to take your business to the next level of marketing, you need to attend this workshop said by someone. And then we have discover your purpose and generate more income as the go-to specialist in your field. If we look at these 3 headlines, they all compete for attention with each other. This one here at the top is the biggest one if your screen is big. So if you look at this on a mobile phone, and we can kind of emulate that by going like this, then this is actually tiny and almost impossible to read. So it almost disappears. This is why we don't use image headers. And I'll link to a post with more details on this. So on a mobile phone, suddenly this here becomes the main headline. And then the thing below, the one in red here, which is probably supposed to be the main headline, is just basically pushed down and made a lot less relevant and a lot less important by this competing stuff above it. So takeaways right away, don't do this image header thing. Because the mobile issue is just there. Also, whenever possible, text should be actual text and not an image. And also the image part of this header is this kind of stock image type thing. It looks very generic. It looks very meaningless. A bit more about that later. But let's also talk about the actual content. So the headings are, like I said, the brain, branding, and your power of authority. What exactly does that mean? The next one, if you want to take your business to the next level of marketing, you need to attend this workshop. This is the first hint that we're talking about a workshop here. And then discover your purpose and generate more income as the go-to specialist in your field. Okay, this part here to me is the first part that kind of is tangible and starts making some sense. Generate more income as the go-to specialist in your field. This makes me think that this is probably for service providers. It's probably for people who provide a specific service in a field. With headlines like this, I think that the deeper issue that this hints at is that you might know too much about your own business. You might know too much about your own field, and you're so close to your own topic and you're so close to your own field that you can't really think about how to describe what you do to someone who doesn't already know. Because I feel like these kinds of headlines, this kind of above the fold content probably means a lot to the person who made this page, but to someone like me who isn't familiar with any of this, I still don't know what's going on here, right? I've looked at all of the above the fold content. I have no idea what's going on here. So whenever you've created a page, try to see that page as a first-time visitor. And you can do that yourself as kind of a mind exercise. Try to forget everything you know about your own business and your own offer and look at that page and see if you can figure out what it's about. And you can also do this with user testing. And I'll link to another post where I talked a bit more about that. So you can actually get first-time visitors to look at your website and tell you what it's like for them. All right, then the second thing, I'll talk a bit more about content and structure in a bit, but the second thing is I want to talk about images. So we have this image at the top here, it's very large. Then we have an image of the author or the person running the workshop. Then we have these images here from the workshops, I guess. Here we have another one. We have some book images and we have some city images. All right. So first of all, we don't have that many images. We have images with the testimonials, which is good. But if apart from those, we don't have that many images that illustrate what's going on here. And here's a little exercise you can do for images on specifically on marketing pages and sales pages. For every image on the page, every single one, ask yourself, does this image illustrate a clear and tangible benefit to my visitor? So if we look at an image like this one here, or both of these actually, okay, we see some people sitting around a table and smiling slightly awkwardly because they were asked to smile for the camera. But what does that do for me? I'm a visitor here. Do I want to be one of these people? This is in itself not very attractive. I don't really necessarily want to be sitting around a table smiling for a camera, right? So what does this actually tell me? And if I look at just the image and nothing else, if I know nothing else about this, it doesn't really tell me. It doesn't tell me what exactly I can expect, and it doesn't communicate a tangible benefit. So let me show you as a counterexample some images that do communicate a benefit. So an extreme example of this is this here. It's from one of my sales pages. And of course, the trick here is that there's actual text in the image. But this is a pretty good way to get people to read more, right? Just do some like handwritten text. It gets quite high readability. But anyway, even if you think away the text, you can see how this is an image that illustrates a process that, although if you only see this image all by itself, you might not be able to figure out what exactly it means. But you can see that there's a lot of information contained in this image, right? Whereas people sitting around a table, that doesn't really communicate there's not a lot of information packaged into an image like that. Here's another example from another sales page. This is from the Thrive Leads one. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's a very clear image and it contains a very clear message. It visualizes a very clear message. This is what happens before, this is what happens after. And whatever these lines represent, afterwards you have more of something, right? That's very clear message packaged in the image, even if you see it without any other context. And then a final example. So the idea is not that every image has to explain something all by itself without any text. I mean, the image and the text, they work together, obviously, to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts. That's the point. But the idea I want to illustrate here is that if you show an image like this to someone, and that someone is a marketer, then even without any context, they can probably figure out, okay, on the one hand, we have email equals something, increase of something, more traffic, more revenue, something like that. So you can see, again, there's a lot of information parceled into this image, and that information is about something that your target audience cares about. Marketers want more traffic and more revenue. So following this rule, if you think about, does each image convey a clear and tangible benefit to your target audience? And if not, you can remove it. You could remove most of the images on this page, right? Because they just don't communicate a benefit. All right, now a couple more things. One of the things is that I noticed is there's an autoplay video here. This video autoplays, but notice how far down the page this is. And again, if we kind of simulate a mobile device, it's not even on the page. Above the fold, right? So you'll just hear audio come on and you won't know where it's coming from. And even, on something like a notebook screen, that might be off screen. So that's not a good idea. I'm not against autoplay videos, but if you're going to have a video autoplay, it should be front and center. It should be the first thing you see. Then we have a section here. So, okay, we've talked about the problematic headlines here. So first of all, there should be one, no competition, and the headline should be more specific, should be more, do a better job of explaining a benefit. Then we have a whole section here, which is, it says something about half-day workshops, but then it says, I'm Lauren Clement, 25 years of something. I worked here and there. I'm a specialist in this and the other. I'm a best-selling author. And we basically have an entire screen full of information that is just about the author. I'm going to be brutally honest here and tell you that I don't care. At this point on the page, I don't even really know what's going on yet. I don't care if you've written best-selling books or stuff like that. I'm certainly not going to read several paragraphs of it. So here's the thing. Of course, this kind of thing can help. This is what we call authority proof. So having worked in reputable places, having a lot of experience, being an influential person, having written best-selling books and so on, this is all authority proof and it can be very useful, but it doesn't belong here. This is almost the first thing on the page. What you can do if you want to use this is, yes, you can use an image of yourself, and like my rule of thumb here is it can be the first half of the first sentence. Okay, so if you say, I'm John Doe, I'm the best-selling author of so on, and I'm here to help you benefit, then that's the first half of the first sentence is me and a bit of authority proof. And the second half is all about you as the visitor, right? That's okay. Anything more than that is too much. What you can do instead is you can put this at the very bottom of the page as one of the last things more about the expert that you'll be working with. And there you can put all the other stuff to impress people with your credentials. All right, final point, I want to talk about text sections. Now, if you watch our videos about the various sales page, how to build sales pages, and I'll link to those below as well, you'll see that one of the things I always have is the text section. And the text section is usually a headline, maybe a subheading, and then a few paragraphs of text, and kind of a very clear chunk where a headline or a subheading tells you what this next bit is going to be about. Then there's some text with further explanations. Then there's the next chunk, and it breaks up the page very nicely. And that's something I'm really missing here, because we have something like a text section here, and then a second one here, and then we have other stuff, and then maybe a third one here. Yeah, here's a third one, but it's missing a subheading. And there's two problems here. First of all, we have this layout, which doesn't seem to have a maximum width. So just the wider the screen is, the further apart stuff is here. And that's a real issue. It's much, much better further down. Actually, this starts happening here. We start having like a much narrower content area, and that makes the whole thing much nicer to look at. It's much easier to find your way around this. When it's this wide, and I'm not even showing this at full width, so if on a larger screen this goes even further apart, it kind of pulls everything apart, and it kind of destroys the structure of the page. So that's one thing I'd fix. And also, you should have more of these. You should have more text sections with subheadings that explain in detail some of the benefits that I will get if I join this workshop. Because if I look at this page, it's really just hinted at. It's really just hinted at what I'm actually going to get. It's hinted at, for example, with some of these bullet points, but each one of these could be a text section explaining how important it is and why you should join. And this could help you just make it more convincing, make it more attractive sounding. Could also help you maybe sell it at a higher price point if you just give people more to chew on and more to go on before they make a decision to come to a live event. I think with a live event also, you have the price here going from $9.97 to $97. I think with a live event is a big factor is actually making time for it and going there and showing up. And if you have a higher price here, that might be less of a hurdle because people already have to make a big commitment. So you might as well sell it in more detail, spend more time selling it, and then sell it at a higher price. But that's just a thought off the top of my head. Obviously, that's something you'd have to test. But yeah, you'd want to have clearer text sections that explain the different things I'm going to learn. And you want to address who exactly this is for. This is something I never quite found on this page, is who exactly is this for? What kind of a person is it for? And to the exclusion of who is it not for? That's something you should add on this page. Now, I also need to mention there are some really good things here. We have a lot of testimonials, which is great. Most of the testimonials have an image like this, so that makes it just seem a lot more real, right? So that's great, having testimonials like this, so you can see all these people who've been successful with this, who've enjoyed it. That's great, definitely keep that. Like I said, once the page narrows down like this and isn't spread out over the whole screen anymore, that's also much nicer to look at. And we start seeing a much nicer page here. And definitely the use of testimonials, that's something I definitely keep. That's very well done. So those are my thoughts on how to fix a marketing page with a few specific things you can try on your own website and on your own marketing pages right now. I hope you enjoyed this website review. And if you enjoyed it, if you'd like to see more of these website reviews, be sure to share this, like it on YouTube, tweet it, Facebook it, whatever, because basically the more attention these website review videos get, the more time we can invest into making them. Also, you can find a link below where you can submit your own website for a chance to get it featured in a Friday website review. Thanks for watching. I'm Shane from Thrive Themes, and I'll talk to you soon.